Hey everybody, welcome back. So the Real Housewives of Salt Lake City season 3 has officially ended. Today was the season finale of season 3. Very short season, guys. We only had 14 episodes. And yeah, that's all we got. But let's get right into it. Let's talk about this final episode of the Real Housewives of Salt Lake City. Alright, so the opening scene is Heather. She's at the venue where she's going to launch her book. It's a pretty big deal for her. The title of the book is Bad Mormon. So she's, looking over some of the things. Then we get to see some glimpses of the women with their husbands, having small talk. Whitney in particular is with her husband and is saying, that the problems with Heather are bad, but she's still going to be there to support her because she knows that Heather writing the book is healing for Heather, but she will not be singing in the choir. And even though she did audition, but she's not going to be singing. And then we get right to the party. It was like at the beginning of the episode. So the party, it looked really nice. I gotta give it up to Heather. It looked really elegant. There was a bunch of food, drinks. It did look fun. Lisa arrived and asked Heather how her eye was doing because it looked much better. She still wants to know what happened. I will say recently on social media, there's been a couple of rumors out saying that Heather actually didn't want to make this into a story, but because there was not a lot of storylines this season, she is saying that the producers forced her to insinuate that somebody had done it, and which is why she was sounding off. Now, I don't know if this is true or not, but that is what we are being told. And everybody's at this party, all the cast and all of the friends of the show. It's a pretty big party. All of her cousins are there to support her. It was a little bit sad to hear Heather talk about her mom because, she clearly misses her and unfortunately she's not there to support her. So then Angie K is talking to Whitney and Lisa. She is really upset because she has been hearing that Jen has been telling other people that it was Angie that beat up Heather in that trip and that she wanted to talk to her. Angie says that perhaps Jen and Heather were doing promiscuous things together and that's how Heather got her black eye, but she's just not happy at all with Jen. And then speaking of Jen, she arrives there with her husband Coach and they decide to have a personal conversation with Angie Harrington and her husband. Now you guys, they apologize and they hugged it out, and I actually love that moment because I like Angie H, so I'm glad that they made up. It was even her husband got a little emotional because they regret what they did. They regret naming the website Exposing Jen Shah, or I think that's what the name was, because they're like what they were trying to do was to expose Lisa. He just chose a bad username, but I'm glad that they put the issue to rest and Angie is okay with Jen and so are the husbands. So do you guys remember those choir auditions that they had at the beginning of the season? Well, they are finally performing. They're very off key, but it was nice for them to sing. And then Heather takes the stage and it's a very special moment. She says that she wants to be a ride or die for everyone. That's what she wants to be known for. And she thanks everyone that came, and then she uncovers and reveals the book cover of her book. It's really risky for her to write this book, but she's really excited. She's really excited to share it with the world. I will say it's a little weird that she didn't actually release the book that night. She was just revealing the cover, but it wasn't like an actual launch where she actually had copies of the book. So then the party continues and Whitney starts to talk to Jen. She wants to see where they stand after that trip because they weren't really like that okay when they were in San Diego. But all of a sudden, all the women start joining, and Angie K, I think she thinks it's a good time for her to bring up her issues with Jen, and she starts telling her everything about how she feels. And it freaks out Jen, and she gets Coach in there. Andrew's really mad that about the rumor that Jen has been saying that it was her that beat up Heather, but she's also really upset that Jen is making things good with Angie Harrington, because if you guys remember, Jen said that account being made and everything really made her depressed, and Angie K is saying, was that even true? And even Coach gets a little upset by her questioning it, and they get really upset, and Jen and Coach leave. Now you guys know how on these housewife shows, when it's a season finale, they're usually always at a party, but they'll put the video and they'll make an image stay still, and then they'll have in writing what they're up to. Well, they did that right there, but it was barely 30 minutes in. And so that's kind of where the actual season ended. But I gotta bring up something. I am really, really disappointed regarding the scenes that were deleted from this episode. If you guys remember, when they first released the trailer for The Real Housewives of Salt Lake City, one of the things that it was in everybody's mouth was that, who is this girl who is going up to Jen and putting her in her place? That night, Dana and Jen got into a very heated argument in which Dana said, "Get out of my effing face. You should be real nice to me, especially if you want me to put some money in your books." And everybody was talking about that. And also, there was a scene where Meredith told Whitney, "I'm being played by someone, and that someone is you." This was very advertised in the trailer, which got a lot of us, hooked in. So for them to tease us with it and then not put it, I don't know why. I am really upset, and I think they should have left it in the episode. But anyway, it then skips to 3 months later. Jen is with her mother, and it actually breaks my heart to see Jen's mom because she truly believes that Jen is innocent. She cashed out her retirement account to help with Jen's legal fund. That's how much she believed in her daughter. And I mean, it's her daughter, she got really emotional, and like I said, it was sad to watch. But now they're officially going to trial because it had been pushed back 5 times. And as they're getting ready to head to New York, we get a short throwback of all the footage leading up to this, which included James claiming her innocence, her getting not arrested, but when the law enforcement arrived at the bus. So it's wow, we're seeing now it's finally here. So she is finally in New York. And another thing that was pretty sad was that Jen told Heather that if she is found guilty, that she needs her to please check up on her family. And again, it's really emotional because, they were crying, and you just think about having someone that you love just go to prison. Of course, he shouldn't have done it, but it still makes it a little bit sad. And actually, Heather and Meredith went to New York to support Jen. Again, they are ride or die friends. I feel like everybody needs friends like that will stick with you no matter what the circumstances are, because it's really easy to abandon your friends. And I feel like just put yourself in a position that you're guilty. You need support. You know what I'm saying? Even though you did something horrible, it's nice to see that there's people there that aren't just going to leave you. So then Heather, Meredith, and Seth have a lunch while they're in New York. And they start talking about the trial, about the implications, about what happened. Because this is serious stuff. You're going to prison. And Seth asks the girls if any of them had actually asked Jen if she did it. Heather says that she's going to support her regardless. And Meredith says that if Jen is found guilty, she needs to take accountability to what she did and the victims. Because if she didn't, that would be a problem with Meredith. And then later, there's a scene with all 3 of them, Heather, Meredith, and Jen. And Jen says that the only reason she's in this is because of Stuart. She says that he got Jen into this, that he framed her, and that he pleaded guilty and pinned it all on Jen to get a shorter sentence. Which that actually would have been a pretty interesting defense, but she didn't go with that because we know that she pleaded guilty, so there must have been no evidence of that. And then all 3 of them hug like a BFF little circle, and then the screen goes black and white. And then we jump to July 11, 2022, where Jen Shah officially pleaded guilty. And as we all know from last week, she is going to be serving 6.5 years in federal prison. And then the last scene is Lisa and Heather. They're meeting up at a restaurant, and they're asking each other how they are now that they know the news. And it just feels surreal to them that they now know that Jen is guilty, and it's a lot of mixed emotions too, because you think about the victims and you think about Jen, then you think about her kids. The kids in particular makes both of them really emotional. They start crying just thinking about their kids not having their mother with them. A child without the mother, that's pretty hard. But they're just overall shocked because all that she's done up to that point was proclaim her innocence, and now all of that changed. Heather actually has a theory. She thinks that Coach found out and that he told her to plead guilty because there might have been a smoking gun that leads directly to Jen, which regardless, it would have all pointed at her and she would have been found guilty anyway. And then that's where the episode ends, and we get a sneak peek into the reunion, which will be next week. Now it will only be a 2-part reunion, which it's not a surprise. I think they should probably just do one because they don't really have that much to talk about, given that Jen won't be at the reunion. But that's all we got this episode, the finale of the Real Housewives of Salt Lake City season 3. But you guys, let me know, what did you guys think about this episode? Did you think it was a pretty good finale? I thought it was. I just wish they would have included those scenes. It doesn't make sense to me why they would cut them out. But like I said, let me know in the comments. Please don't forget to subscribe and like, and I'll catch you guys next time. You guys have a good one.